Thank you.
Clock or your clock.
Wow,
more
that
accurate.
says 4. I try to program that based on that, but
Yep, it's within 10 seconds. All right, it is 4:00 p.m. We will call the Committee on Public Safety to order. Please let the record reflect that all committee members are present. If I could have a motion for the August 12th, 2025 minutes.
So move.
All right, that's a proper motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Minutes are accepted. We are on to public comment. Is there any member of the public present who would like to give comment for up to 3 minutes? If you'd like to, you can certainly take a seat at the table and please state your name for the record.
Okay, yep. My name is Charles Hauser. Just want to first say thank you for allowing me to speak. Chairwoman Pelvanagou, President Goss, and Councilmember Hussein. I am the Governmental and Regulatory Affairs Manager for Granger Waste Services. We just wanted to be brief and just wanted to say thank you for considering what you've heard from your constituents as well as residents of the city, both our customers and other customers as well, and rescinding the amendments to the proposed ordinance 1060 for the solid waste ordinance there. Really appreciate that. And we look forward to, as we have for over 50 years, continuing to be a community partner and continue to provide great service to the customers that we have in this city. So that's all I want to say. And again, just want to say thank you. So.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay, moving on, we will go to item 5B. The resolution for reappointment of Irene Iris Cotton as an at-large member to the Board of Police Commissioners with a term to expire June 30th, 2029. We did receive a response from Irene Cotton. She did say that she wanted to be here and attend today. She communicated with Sherry, but I see that she is in the room.
should I just move this down to the bottom in case she walks in?
Sure, we can
A
give
little bit
this
after 4.
a bit more time. Not a problem. Thank you. We'll move that item down. Let's move on to item C, a discussion item, the zoning ordinance amendment to the Planning Commission, 1240.04, definition of a liquor store, to define what a liquor store is. At our last meeting, there was a discussion on this ordinance and the ordinance that we will discuss afterward. And in our last meeting, we had a discussion about the threshold of gross sales. We had a version that had 50% of gross sales, and that you'll find that on page 21, item number 1. And I know there was a question, request, wanting inquiry on if we could lower that threshold as low as 10%. And so I'd like to know, Lisa, I know you're going to look into that and see if that was doable, if we were able to work with a different percentage. So.
Sure. So the short answer is 10% is too restrictive to be defensible. However, we did modify the definition to include considerations for tobacco sales, vapor products, alternative nicotine products to be considered in the sales. I understand that part of the desire was to include potentially kind of grocery stores specifically in the definition of a liquor store when we're thinking about those kind of buffer zones. Grocery store is a federally defined term. And so to include it in this definition of liquor store, we would be kind of running afoul to a lot of those federal definitions. And so we would not recommend including that. We discussed it within the Office of the City Attorney. We believe more than 50% of gross sales being either liquor, nicotine product, vapor, is as restrictive as we can be in terms of a definition, which is what I believe the request of this committee was.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members or comments on
Done.
Okay, any other item within this specific ordinance that there may be remaining questions on or considerations at this time?
Did we address the distance?
That's coming up.
Okay.
The next ordinance, the next piece. I will say, at our last meeting, I did think that the 50% threshold was fair. And I know we had a bit of a differing opinion on that. With this new, with this amendment that's been made in this version, to include the nicotine sales, vape products and so on. I'm interested in this conversation. I guess I'll say from my perspective, there is a lot to consider. We did receive a written comment from the public. It was emailed to full council, essentially expressing that, maybe taking these actions at all was too restrictive. So, but I do think it's important to hear from our community, hear from the public on this. And so, I know this is a discussion item now. And so if there is any type of motion to move this forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually, so we can, obviously move to set a
Mhm.
public hearing, correct?
No.
No, this goes to the planning.
Oh, you're
Go to
right.
planning,
Planning
yeah.
commission. You're right. I apologize. I'm getting out in front of our skis here. Yeah, and I'll recognize this too, because I got a lot of respect for the author of this letter. But it's, there's a lot of irony here. When we talk about building up minorities and ensuring that, we're scaffolding minorities, particularly in business. We are destroying our Black and brown communities all throughout the city, throughout most of our urban cores in the state of Michigan and really across the country. And we're doing that, with liquor stores and pot shops and other sin shops and, predatory lending. And I mean, we're concentrating poverty. We're literally manufacturing, failure within demographics, of people that look a lot like me or you, or right. And so I get it that there are a few that might miss out on one hell of a business opportunity because there's a lot of flooding, right, of these markets with these products. But I'm really not concerned about people's bottom line in terms of, from a business perspective, I'm worried about people's circumstances and the livability of their community and how their community is positioned to really allow for people to grow in space and then ascend. And so, although I have a lot of respect for this particular author, argument falls flat. So, yeah, I'm ready to move it on. Planning commission person.
Okay, and that's a motion?
So,
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Passes, and this will be referred to the planning commission. Do we happen to have a date that we know this will be heard, or we just essentially move it forward? It's not like setting a date for a public hearing.
Right, I will send this on to the EDP department along with a copy of the draft minutes and then ask them just to keep us updated. I'm gonna guess, I think they meet the third the third week of the month? Third week of the month, so I'm gonna ask them just to confirm what their next September date would be, and I'll let the committee know.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item D, the next item listed as discussion. Zoning ordinance amendment to the planning commission at 1250.02 liquor license location proximity. And again, this has had a new draft that we have before us today. At our last public safety meeting, the distance that was essentially between and as it reads, measured by the shortest straight line between the respective lots. That distance has been increased in this version. Previously, it was 1,000 feet, and in this version, it is 2,500 feet. So Lisa, would you like to speak to that change or what considerations were made with this specific distance?
Sure. The considerations are that it is essentially the maximum distance that has been upheld in these types of challenges in the state of Michigan. So this is a defensible, and that's as high as they've gone, I believe, or just about there. So why that would be our recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments on this this ordinance that we do have for discussion?
Glad that we moved the number up. I think 2,500 is for me is a comfortable number. I think this whole package is comfortable. Maybe not everything we want, but certainly, I think garners the spirit of what we have seen play out the last few months with the Liquor Control Commission basically telling us to go kick rocks. And, telling locals that we really don't have any control over their decision-making, even if we send it in. So, with 40+ liquor stores just in Lansing proper, I'm glad that we're doing what we can here legally to not stop it. Let's spread it out because especially right now, in the ward that I get to represent, we have 3 new liquor stores going up that would be within this 2,500-foot radius, on top of the ones that are already there. It is highly dense. So I'm glad that we're taking some serious action on this.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I'm glad that we're having these conversations. So I have no issue if there is a motion to move this ordinance as well forward to the Planning Commission.
Moved.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So with the previous ordinance, this will be sent to the Planning Commission and they will schedule that at an upcoming meeting. Going back to item B, a resolution for reappointment of Irene Iris Cotton as an at-large member to the Board of Police Commissioners with a term to expire June 30th, 2029. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And so this is a reappointment. With reappointments, we don't receive a new application or any updated information from appointees. That's just how the system works today. And so I did think it would be great to check in with you to welcome you here to this committee. Certainly, if you'd like to talk about the time that you've spent on the Board of Police Commissioners thus far, we would be happy to hear from you. Any items that you're proud of or meaningful discussions that you've had. When we first met and your initial application, you mentioned wanting to bridge relationships within the community and really work to close some of those gaps. So if you'd like to, you can certainly address us and let us know how it's been going for you.
It's been interesting. It's been interesting. There's a lot to learn and listen, to hear from different perspectives. Being a part of the community, it's been good to know that people recognize that I am on the board now and I do have a voice, and concerns that they might have, they might be able to bring it to me and I might be able to bring it back to the board to get some resolution, answers to their questions, and just to know who's who in the police department, who's on the city council. It was kind of interesting that I went to an event at the Hunter Park that the police was putting on. And it was interesting to hear that some of the police officers comment that we have a board, but they never see the faces. So, it was nice to know they put my face. And so when they see me now, they know who I am. And we have a good conversation and stuff like that, just friendly. I ran into a couple of the officers, the cadets and stuff like that, and they recognized me. I've seen one at Myers, and, we had, so it's just very interesting to get to know who our representatives are. So I've been excited about, bridging that gap and letting people know who's who, getting them familiar with our mayor, his visions and what he wants to do for the city, and being able to encourage them to, get out and vote for him. So, yeah, so it's been quite a journey.
Any questions from committee members?
I got a few, just says,
Please.
this is term number, or it would be term number, is it your second term, third term?
Well, apparently I was filling in for someone
So
else.
you're walking
was
into
limited
your
term.
first full term.
Just a yes, this was like 4 years, you know. I said,
Fantastic.
4 years, that's a long time.
Well, in your time, let me ask you a couple questions. In your time, have you ever, have you scheduled and actually participated in like a ride along with a police officer?
If I did what?
Like scheduled and participated like a ride along with a police officer?
I have not done that yet.
I would highly encourage you to do that.
Uh,
You attended a lineup?
no, I haven't done that yet. But I have talked to the chief about, you know, scheduling that, and I do,
Excellent.
I do plan to do that.
I would say when you're really with the boots on the ground folks, you really learn what's important from their, from their position. And, obviously they're out there doing critical work every single day. And I think, that our chief is incredible. Our assistant chief is incredible. You look at, some of our other command, incredible. But it is what it is, right? They're not necessarily boots on the ground each and every day, and things have changed and things evolve. And so I think that's a great practice for a commissioner. We usually ask candidates for any board or commission, what they plan to do to engage the community. It sounds like you've done quite a bit. So it sounds like you go maybe to neighborhood meetings, council constituent contact, like
Well,
how are you engaging the community regularly?
At this point, I've been attending, all of the meetings that we have scheduled, and, I do plan to do a ride along at some point. I talked to the chief about that. I have, supposedly I'm the chairperson of, the recruiting and hiring on the board, and I, read, O'Leary's, report every quarter or meeting that we have. The chief has, allowed me to do that, so I do, pull that report off and, give an update on the, practices of hiring and recruiting and what's going on there. So, yeah, so it's a lot. Um, Being a pastor, I have a lot on my plate already, so I'm trying to, fit it in and do as much as I can.
Have you had to take over the past, it's only been a year, but have you had to take any unpopular stances, like on the commission? Have there been, times when you guys are discussing something critical and you've disagreed with the majority of the commission or no?
What are you saying that, am I?
Like in terms of the actual commission and the work you guys are doing, right, as part of the commission in your time, have you had to take any unpopular stances?
No.
Not really, not to this point. Okay, but you'd be comfortable in doing that if you had to.
If it comes to, if it's necessary, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate your service.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, just quickly. So I remember your first go through, I was on public safety last year when we confirmed you. And I asked the question, I ask everybody, do you have time to make the meeting? So in the time that you've been on there, how many meetings have you been able to make?
I made them all but one. I think there was one that I was sick. I kind of got a virus or something, so I Ruth know that I wouldn't be at that particular meeting. I can't remember what it was. It was probably around February or March somewhere, but so far I haven't missed any meetings.
You didn't miss the May meeting?
Hmm?
You didn't miss a May meeting?
I don't, unless that was the one that I was sick. I've only missed one.
Any meetings, I think is what she said, that she
Okay.
missed one.
Okay. All right, that's my only question.
Okay, well, thank you so much again for being with us today. If there is nothing else, or is there anything else you'd like to tell us before we move on with this process?
Well, no, it's just that, I'm getting to know faces, getting to know who people I recognize, Lisa and, the attorney, right? Yeah, so just getting to know who people are. And, I was, thinking at one time that, I think at our last meeting, I just kind of observed how the camaraderie between the people on the board. And I said, somehow I have managed to be in the midst of a lot of professional career people, and I'm just a common person, so it's interesting. So you just have to know how to maneuver and navigate and fit in, so.
I appreciate you, and we are all common people, and
Well,
that is the spirit of service,
you
right?
know, it's kind of different. So, we, with the camaraderie between the people on the board and folk that are just coming in, it's kind of, you have to get to know people, and you don't want to be too bold and say stuff that you shouldn't say or do things that you shouldn't do. So you just have to you need to know how to navigate.
think
Ryan
I-
actually
I'm
had
sorry,
his
go
hand
ahead.
up,
Yeah.
then.
So it sounds like there's a lot of camaraderie on the board, which is good to hear. How has the chair really helped you in this role and communicated with you on
Yeah.
reaching the, yes?
Yeah, I get a lot of help, support. If I have a question, they're very cordial,
Fantastic.
directing me or telling me what I need to know. If I
That's good to hear.
The only thing I was gonna say, Chair, is that I love the fact that you guys get along in that room and those types of things. I would just encourage us to remember we can be